And here is the big reveal. I can't believe we're already in this stage of the conversion process. That is definitely not going to work. I think we've officially found our design plan. Today's going to be a pretty simple day today because now that we've gotten all the flooring out, we're going to be dealing with getting out the adhesive that's remaining on the floor. We would like it to look like this as much as possible. And what we're going to be using is this goof off stuff. It's pretty much an adhesive remover, so hopefully that'll work in combination with the drill and this wire cut brush. Just in case you were wondering what this does, I decided to take it out of the box and show you. It has these little bristles on it to make it easier to like scrub or brush off the adhesive. I've actually never used one of these before, so it looks like it'll work though, so we'll see how that goes. It might take the entire day, maybe 2 days, I'm not sure yet. But yeah, today's a pretty simple day today, so we'll see how much we get done. Here is the big reveal. Woo! This is actually a really cool angle because we only did about half of the bust today. So as you can see, half of it is this super shiny, except the rust parts, which I'll get to in a second. But yeah, look at how nice and shiny this floor is. See, this is what it's supposed to look like. And this is actually a cool little comparison. It's a nice little before and after. It's crazy that the floor is supposed to look like this compared to what it normally would look like, which is this. I'm actually glad we didn't finish all of it today because it's really cool to see the comparison, because even I didn't realize how shiny the floor was technically actually supposed to look. But speaking of the rust spots, because that is one place we won't be able to see the shininess quite yet, we're going to wait and sand those. And funny enough, that is actually what Kevin ended up doing with most of that back there. I ended up trying to do the drill part, but it really wasn't that efficient. So of course I got the more useless job as always. I'm just kidding, but I pretty much did what I always do and tried to be useful with it, but I really didn't get anywhere. So I'm gonna give Kevin most of the credit for what he did back there. Because he was able to sand it, he ended up not having to use that spray. So all we had to do was leaf blow all the dust out instead of having to pressure wash everything out. Because if you use that spray, then you have to pressure wash everything out. But yeah, everything looks so nice and I'm so happy and quite surprised about how it came out. That yeah, we're halfway done and tomorrow's pretty much going to be the same thing. I don't know how he does it. I could never. You make it look so easy.
I do.
So today's gonna be a little different today. As you can see, I'm not wearing the appropriate wear for anything physical today. And the reason why is because, and I can't believe we're already in this stage of the conversion process, is that we are going to begin brainstorming some design ideas. And the reason why is because since the bus is technically already bare metal for the most part, we need to start figuring out where things are going to go, such as the outlets, electrical, plumbing, all that good stuff. And yeah, I can't believe I'm already saying this, that we are in this process already. But yeah, I'm really excited, and I'm going to keep this short and sweet because this is a rough draft, so things are definitely going to be changing as we move forward. But I kind of just wanted to give you an idea on what we were thinking. So let's get into it. So we've been using VanSpace 3D for our design process, and I will say this is a pretty user-friendly software for people that have never done any sort of design before. And it also was only like $30 for a year, which is super nice. But yeah, so I am going to start in the very back, which is going to be the bedroom. And this is a pretty standard layout for most Skoolies as well as van builds. So we're gonna have the bed all the way in the back, which will have a stereotypical garage, as they would call it, under the bed like a lot of people do. And yeah, the bedroom will pretty much have anything a normal bedroom will have, such as nightstands, closets. And what I'm really hoping is to have a spot where we can put electronics such as drones, cameras, stuff that we don't really want out, and just somewhere safe and secure that they can be. So as we go further down, we have the bathroom, which I wanted to keep as close to the bedroom as possible. And something that me and Kevin decided was we're not really keen on having a wet bath. And I know it's something that's pretty common with Skoolies and van builds, but we're just not really a big fan of them. And because our bus is about 35 feet long, we do have some wiggle room to make sure that it doesn't become a wet bath. But yeah, as we keep going, we're gonna have a kitchen, and we're not prioritizing a super big kitchen, and that's because we have prioritized space for other things, which I'll get into. But yeah, our kitchen will pretty much be like any ordinary kitchen. It'll have a pantry, a fridge, and possibly an oven. I haven't really officially decided on that part yet. As we further go down, this is where we really want to prioritize our space. Because me and Kevin spend a lot of time on our computers, personally and professionally, we would like to have somewhere where we can both have our computers and our monitors, as well as a little bit more open space just for a nice little work area. For example, Kevin does work on model trains, so to be able to have that little extra room for that creative space would be really nice. And this is actually something that I thought of. I think a lot of people do this as well, I'm not sure. But something that I thought of was, since we're gonna have monitors on that side, I figured we might as well put the couch across from that, because we're not super huge TV watchers. We do a lot of streaming. So I figured having the couch across from the monitors would be useful, because we can just watch TV, quote unquote, on the monitor instead. One more thing that I want to add is that this couch is going to be like any other couch that people get, where it can be a pull-out and you can have 2 guests. That's pretty much the gist on our first design idea. The other one is technically, it's really not that much different. It's pretty much what it would be like if we had an L-shaped kitchen. I'm not completely sure how I feel about an L-shaped kitchen yet, because Kevin brought up the idea. I've always just imagined that we would just have that nice open straight layout that everybody has. But yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. The only thing that really changes is obviously the kitchen and where the hallway is, as well as where the bathroom is. As you can see, everything else is pretty much in the same area, except for the bathroom and the closet, because the hallway would have to go through that way. But yeah, I'm gonna keep this nice and short and simple for now, because things are still kind of in the process. We still have to decide which layout we even want in the first place. But I figured I would share that with you and kind of give us all something to look forward to, because this is starting to become a very exciting part of the conversion process, and probably my favorite part of the process. But yeah, if you have any suggestions, or if you prefer a specific layout, let me know. I'm so excited to be sharing this new step in this process with you. And yeah, we'll be going back to our usual thing. Kevin's actually out of town, so I'm gonna be doing as much as I can in terms of figuring out where everything is going to go, kind of specifying on the details of the design. And the flooring is technically on pause right now, but I'm going to do everything I can without dealing with sparks. Because along the flooring, there are little crevices that need to be cleaned out, and I could pretty much just do that with the drill. And I know that's gonna take me enough time as it is while Kevin is gone, and he can get back to dealing with the sparks because I really don't want to deal with that. But yeah, stay tuned for that as we eventually decide on which layout we would prefer more, and kind of specifying the dimensions more and figuring out exactly where we go from there. Measurement day, which means all of those little measurements and everything that I showed you on that design layout are going to be put to very good use today. So I am going to be going around with the tape measure and figure out where things are going to go, such as, for example, the bed is going to go over here. So I'm going to figure out exactly where we want it to go, as well as other things, because like I said before, the main reason why we're doing this right now is because we need to figure out where things are going to go, such as electrical, plumbing, all that good stuff, because we need to figure out where certain places need to be cut and all that good stuff. So it's definitely going to be a rough draft kind of thing. Technically, we already have measurements, but the entire point of today is to kind of specify those measurements, as well as figuring out if we still want to do an L-shaped kitchen or not. And yeah, I'm really excited to be doing this today. It feels like we're finally making this dream interior a reality and just making things come alive, which is going to be super fun. But yeah, let's get started. Okay, so for some reason, my software dimensions that I'm using are flipped, because when I just did the bed measurement, and I just realized how small this looks, and it's because this longer piece is supposed to go here and vice versa. And it's weird because I was following the dimensions on the software, because on the software it's supposed to be like length and width and all that, but for some reason it's flipped. So my brain's gonna be all mixed up now. But yeah, so I just did all that and now I have to flip it. This is why we're doing this, is for stuff like this, because we want a queen size bed in here, and I guess we were off with that by like 5 inches too, so I have to add that on anyways. But yeah, I'm gonna have to go and reset that now. Alright, so I really want to walk you through my thought process as much as I can during this phase, because this really isn't just a matter of measuring and being done with it. As you can see, literally the only thing I have measured so far is the bed. And something that I'm trying to figure out right now is that if we keep it the way it is now, because we currently have it going long ways, there's not a whole lot of room to get out of bed. You'd have to roll out of bed here. So I'm trying to figure out if I want to keep this or reverse the bed. The only thing about reversing the bed though is I actually have my measurement going here, is that it's gonna come further out here, which means more space that the bed's gonna take up and less space for other things. Because this is about like 2 more feet of length that it's gonna take up if we decide to do it that way. But that would mean that there would be more room over here, which I haven't measured that part out yet, but there would be more room to put smaller things here. So I'm gonna do a bit of measuring on that side and see how much room that would be. And also run this by Kevin because this is something that both of us have to be comfortable with. And yeah, I'll make the necessary adjustments if we decide to change it. All right, update. So we decided to stick to the measurements that we currently have for the bed. So the bed is going to stay long ways. And what I'm doing now is I'm trying to measure out our closet because it currently says our closet is about 13 to 14 inches from the bed. And well, first of all, I'm trying to see if that is enough room anyways, which is already super weird because I'm definitely not used to doing this at all. And also just figuring out how big the closet needs to be anyways, and figuring out how far out it should come from the wall, as well as how long it should be from going this way. I feel like that's something that is going to be kind of a rough draft right now, and just something that can be played around with more compared to the other stuff, because stuff like the bed, for example, obviously you can't really play around with a queen size bed's dimensions because they are the same. But yeah, it's really weird trying to measure out the closet right now. I'm actually wondering if I should even do that, but I feel like it's gonna help because I feel like it'll at least give me an idea on where other things are going to go in relation to it. But yeah, it's really weird trying to measure it because it's really not gonna be super big. All we really need is enough space to hang some clothes, as well as put potentially some of the electronics I was talking about. So yeah, it's a little difficult trying to figure that out, but we're getting there. All right, so I did some measuring for the closet as well as the bathroom. And as you can see with the bathroom, that is definitely not going to work. I have no idea if it's because we just didn't measure it properly or if the software didn't show where the wheel wells were, but the bathroom is definitely not going to be going there anymore. And I actually brought this up to Kevin to kind of get his opinion, because he really thinks that the L-shaped would be way better in terms of living as a couple and kind of the way things are going to flow and figuring out the best way to make that happen. I just really liked the open layout because I just thought it looked better, honestly. And it's just something that I've gotten used to seeing in the Skoolie community. But I think because of that, I haven't really thought too much in terms of practicality. And after talking to Kevin, I can see why he prefers the L-shaped layout, and I think we're gonna start measuring in terms of doing that instead. So I am going to wrap things up, and once we get back to the measurements, we will start figuring out our L-shaped layout. All right, so we are currently on a restart for our layout because we finally figured out that we are leaning more towards doing an L-shaped layout. So I'm going to put that out first since we're leaning pretty much towards that now at this rate. And I've got to get this stuff up. I'm not really going to move this because we're still going to have a closet here. So I'm just going to make this a bit smaller for the closet. But I do have to take this out because this is originally where the closet was going to be. Something that I think I forgot to mention was that a lot of these L-shaped layouts typically have the hallway go this way and over the wheel well, because typically the straight layout would be in the middle, of course. I don't really like the idea of that because you have to add a step over that wheel well, and I just don't really like that. I don't really like the look of it. I don't like the idea of having to step over or onto that block. So something that we found was that some people also do a kind of more of a zigzag type of hallway instead of a straight hallway on the side of the bus. So I'm gonna be trying to measure out that and figuring out where exactly that'll go, because the current layout that we have on our design plan is just the typical L-shaped layout, not so much the zigzag type of layout. So I'm gonna be working on that and seeing how much I can get done. I did not realize it was going to be super hot today, so we'll see how that goes. I also have a hurt foot, so we'll see how much I can get done on this foot because this does involve a lot of standing. But yeah, let's see what we can get done today. Okay, update. So I just finished measuring out the pantry, fridge, as well as the L-shaped kitchen. This is a bit weird, don't mind this. This is pretty much how far out the kitchen would come. I had to make some adjustments since our original layout was supposed to have the hallway come out here and the L-shaped was gonna come all the way out here, but since we're gonna be changing that, it kind of has to be cut a little bit so we can have some room to walk in that zigzag way and then come back here. So something that me and Kevin talked about was the size of the kitchen, because as you can see, it starts past this blue line here and only goes to here, and half of that is already going to be a sink, which I mean, you can put one of those boards over and use as a countertop anyways, but then the other half is going to be a stovetop. And even then, this really isn't a whole lot of kitchen space. What we decided to consider was possibly moving the fridge over here. So that's why I have this right here, because I'm getting ready to measure what that would look like. And that would allow us to have some room. So the pantry would be moved over here, but we would be able to extend the kitchen counter space just a little bit more. And to have that extra little counter space would be really nice. And that would still leave some room, because I kind of forgot that we didn't really add in a table to put beside the couch. We never really added that onto our layout. So we're gonna try to work with what we've got and try to add as much extra space as we can to make that possible, because it really would be nice to have a nice little table beside the couch. But yeah, as for the couch is really not going to be changing. The whole idea was to have the couch over here so that anybody sitting here can talk to the driver. And I'm not going to measure out the desk area yet, because I mean, to be fair, there's not really much to do with that right now. It's pretty flexible with what we can do. We could make it smaller if we wanted to, because we have it coming out pretty far, like all the way from where that chair is all the way to like here. So that's a decent amount of space already. If we really need to, we can cut that back a little bit, but we're gonna see what it looks like with the fridge first. And yeah, I'll be back to update you about that. Alright, so I finished updating things and here's where things stand. So basically I moved the fridge, so it's on this side now. I did a little bit more measuring just to kind of get an idea on how far out that L would go in terms of trying to make sure that the space between here and here is enough for a walkway. And yeah, so far that's looking good. The kitchen counter is now extended by about 13 inches, which really made a nice big difference. And yeah, so now the pantry is over here right by the counter. Nothing really changes about the pantry dimensions or anything like that right now. Mostly have some space, but what I wanted to bring up was right here, because I haven't really done many measurements yet because of all this stuff being here still for the couch. But this is about how long the couch is, and this little gap right here, we decided that we're probably gonna put a nice little table there. So I'm really happy that we found some space for that. And yeah, so far everything's looking good. Yeah, we did have to move the fridge over too, because originally I had it over here, but it was a bit too tight with the L, so we decided to move it over here, and it definitely opens the hallway up a bit more. And even though it does make the desk / work area a bit smaller, it's really not by much. I mean, this is plenty of room for a workspace / office space still. I mean, this is plenty of room. So yeah, so far everything's looking pretty well. I'm going to wait to measure out this area, like I said, especially the couch area because of all this stuff over here, and especially because the floor isn't done. But Kevin is going to finish that tomorrow, so that will open things up more and we'll be able to measure that area and eventually get to the back and finalize our layout details. But yeah, I'm really excited that this is coming together. We're still in that process where dimensions are still probably gonna change here and there, but so far I feel like we're pretty set on the layout and where things are going to go. But yeah, I'm really excited to continue this and see how this comes out. Alright, so we just finished with what we were doing. Kevin finished with the flooring. He finished getting the adhesive off, so everything looks all nice and pretty. And I will say, I think we've officially found our design plan. At least, I'll say that kind of loosely right now because I feel like we're still at that stage where things could change a little bit, but not much. I feel like we have a pretty good idea on where things are going to go. So let me show you. So pretty much, nothing's really changed here right now. I also haven't outlined the couch right now because we kind of already have a general idea on where it's going to go because it's pretty much just gonna go all the way out here. I just don't know how far out it's gonna come here, but it really shouldn't be that bad. And across from that, we're gonna have our nice little office area. And yeah, that's why I wanted to put the lounge area here because then we'll have our monitors here if we wanna watch TV. And that'll keep continuing until we get here where the fridge is going to go, along with our pantry. And across from that will be our kitchen. This will be like where the stove will be, the sink, maybe an air fryer, blender, and as well as having our counter space. And yeah, I forgot to mention that we have some wiggle room here because, like I said before, we really want a table here. But if we want, we can make the table smaller because it really just needs to be big enough to where you could put like a cup or put your phone right beside where you're sitting. But yeah, we have a decent amount of room to work with. Like if we wanted to, we could extend the kitchen counter more if we want and just make the table smaller. So this is a work in progress right now. But as we keep going, this is where we're gonna have our L shape. We also have plenty of room now to walk and have our zigzag hallway. And this is also a pretty rough estimate right now, but we're anticipating that our closet space will be here. This will be like where we put our clothes and possibly electronics as well, such as like our cameras, drones, stuff like that. And as we keep going, we realized that we had some extra space here. So Kevin actually made a really good point to possibly put our electric stuff there because we hadn't really figured out exactly where we were gonna put that stuff yet. And we were like, well, we have this extra space here and we don't really know what to do with it, so we might as well use it for something that we need rather than just putting random stuff there. So yeah, we're thinking of having our electricity stuff in this area. Plus we have the wheel well here, so that kind of works out because there's not really a whole lot you can put over the wheel well, such as like a toilet or stuff like that. Speaking of the toilet, as we continue, we don't really have things marked out yet because we just thought of this idea was to put our bathroom by the bed. Obviously there will be a wall, so things will be separated. But yeah, we're thinking of having our toilet just after the wheel well, since you can't put it over it, and then to have a sink, and then our shower. And yeah, we're going with that plan because, as I said before, we really do not want a wet bath. And we really don't need a huge bathroom, but we really just don't want a wet bath. So having that nice extra room to be able to separate the two is what we really wanted. And yeah, as I mentioned before, yeah, since we did that, we had to move the bed back to where it was because before it was more long ways. So yeah, having it here in the corner allows for that bathroom space. And obviously with a bed, we're gonna do what everybody typically does and, have storage underneath that and stuff like that. But we'll get further into those details later. Like I said before, this is just a nice rough draft kind of layout. I'm pretty sure I covered all the details. I'm gonna have to go back into my software that we created the layout in the first place, because we pretty much just measured all of this stuff by hand in here rather than using the software. So I'm going to update that software and just kind of get a better rough estimate of all the dimensions and stuff like that. But yeah, I am just super excited. The more we do this, the more I have that vision, you know, of what things are gonna look like. And I feel like that really makes things feel real, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like we're really turning this dream into reality. And yeah, I feel like my excitement is just gonna keep getting better from here on out. So yeah, that's about it for today. And I forgot that we're on our last day of week 4, so I feel like this is a great way to wrap up week 4. But yeah, stay tuned for that as we continue working on the design and eventually making things official and finally starting to work towards making this interior dream a reality. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye!